Welcome to Talking About Sports. We're here at the Dilworth Neighborhood Grill with an all-star panel, including Reggie Walker, Mountaineer Mike Freer, JT John Tobias, back from another whirlwind tour of Europe, Scandinavia, and the subcontinent.
The couch.
Lots of NBA news. Los Angeles Lakers have LeBron James in the fold. Golden State Warriors, the defending, I think, two-time defending champ. They pulled in DeMarcus Cousins after losing, was it JaVale McGee?
Correct.
Okay. Now, last time we were assembled, Reggie Walker made it a point to say that LeBron James would stay in Cleveland. Now, Reggie, we're going to give you the opportunity to correct the record.
Ain't nothing to correct. I was incorrect in predicting that LeBron would remain in Cleveland. I said at the time I may be wrong, but I doubt it. Well, guess what? I was wrong. That's all right, though. I'm right about everything else.
That's what I was about to say, Reg. You're usually right about most things. You just were. I know you're a stand-up guy, and you demanded TV time to make that statement, and you got it. What do you think, Mountaineer Mike, about all this player movement? I don't think we've seen the last of it. There's still rumors of Kawhi Leonard may or may not want to be a Laker, may want to go to the Clippers now to be the man. He may not want to be Robin. He may want to be Batman wherever he goes. Still lots of dominoes to fall. Where do you see it going, Mountaineer Mike?
I mean, Kawhi is really the only among big names, the last big storyline for the offseason in the NBA. When the moves started happening for the Lakers, when they got LeBron, then Kentavious Caldwell-Pope signed, which was just a kiss to the agent that got him LeBron because they're connected. And then you see Rondo come in. Then you see Lance Stevenson come in. Then you see JaVale McGee come in. You start wondering what kind of team is this going to be. And then the more I think about it, this is not as outlandish on the court as it would appear. Off the court, it could be combustible by the end of training camp.
Highly flammable.
I mean,
born ready.
That's very flammable.
Playmakers, and they need shooting, but you got a lot of playmakers now that can free up opportunities for maybe LeBron to get some easier baskets for a change.
Now, John Tobias, who are the outside shooters? That's the knock, that they don't have the, quote, outside shooters, the Kyle Korvers, the Kevin Loves in the world. But I really like the Rondo signing, and how will that impact Lonzo Ball?
Great
Who's
segue.
the starter?
Great segue, because the thing about it is that
That's what I'm supposed to do, by the way.
that's how you roll, man. That's why you're considered a legend.
I don't know by myself and not many others.
The thing about it is that you guys know just as well as I do is that LeBron James has surrounded himself with three-point shooters in the past couple of years because, number one, that's where he's most effective, and then number two, that's kind of how the way the NBA is changing. The thing about it is that
It's only worked 2 out of 8 times, though.
Yeah, but the thing about it is that what people could be concerned about is that Rondo, guys, is a career 30.9 three-point shooter. Lance Stevenson right at 30% as well.
That's a ridiculous sign. That's absolutely idiotic. He's a buffoon.
Who is that?
Lance Stevenson.
Okay, I thought you were talking about Rondo.
No, I love Rondo.
So the thing about it is
Rondo will call people out.
Now, both of those guys have heart, and both of those guys are gritty, but to Mike's point, you kind of ask yourself, how's that going to translate in terms of three-point shooting? Because once again, those guys are career 30% three-point shooters.
Listen, it's this. I'll say it, and it goes back to something I said before. The smart thing the Lakers did as a front office is all these guys are on one-year deals. This ain't going to work, and here's why. I said it before. Who is the best decision maker with the basketball in their hands in basketball? LeBron James.
Absolutely.
Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is a ball-dominant player. Rajon Rondo is best with the ball in his hands. He's a ball-dominant player.
Lonzo Ball.
Lonzo Ball is a ball-dominant point guard. Lance Stevenson, a ball-dominant player. You got too many ball-dominant players, and you're going to ask them again, and I said this about Cleveland this past season. Jordan Clarkson didn't work as well in Cleveland because he is a ball-dominant pick-and-roll point guard. Jeff Green, same thing. You're putting the similar type of parts around LeBron that shows it's not. Now, then again, that team made the finals. Not saying they were that bad, but when we listen and talk to people, and listen to people say so much how they're just so much, quote, worse, right, of a supporting cast and how they were not good to help him get over the hump. What makes you think this group is going to do the same thing?
So, Rich, let me answer this, though.
They're not putting the right players around him. But, again, it's smart because they're only putting one-year deals in front of him.
So let me ask this, Rich, because everything that you're saying makes sense. But my question to you, if that's the case, why are they doing it? Why did they sign, whether they're one-year deals or 2-year deals, why are they signing these type of guys?
because those are the guys that are available. Here's the other thing, and this is something that we'll get into salary cap stuff later. But a lot of times it's about availability and convincing the right guy. The bottom line is, who was the best shooter on the open market this year?
Is that a rhetorical question?
It was Redick.
It's J.J. Redick. He took this past season. He made $24 million with Philadelphia. He just re-signed with them for $12 million for 1 year. You mean to tell me the Lakers couldn't come up with $15 million to get him out there to get a true shooter on that roster?
Maybe they didn't like him.
There's a reason for that.
Maybe there's personality issues.
I think there's a vision for the Lakers, believe it or not. I think Reggie and I talked about this a few weeks ago. If LeBron actually were to go to the Lakers, it would no longer be championships would be the top priority for him at this stage of his career.
I think you're right.
And honestly, that's fine. He's earned the right to take this approach.
He got 3
years he's put in. I do think there's a vision here for the 1 year that Reggie mentioned. He's going to have playmakers, and they're going to dominate the ball or whatever. But you're not going to see Lonzo and Rondo on the court pretty much at the same time. You're going to have, Rondo probably coming off the bench and stuff like that. But they're going to be better defensively, which LeBron did not have last year at all. And they need shooters. We just mentioned that. But they got playmakers. They got tough guys on defense. They got knuckleheads that you don't know what you're going to get night after night emotionally.
Lance Stevenson.
And Rondo. I like Rondo, but
I love Rondo.
Yeah, Rondo's got a couple of coaches run out of town too.
Hard.
And not to mention the other piece of that is these are all guys that, with the exception of Rondo, look at their careers in totality. Very inconsistent basketball players. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope has shown you he's got moments where you're like, whoa, this dude has the ability to be a 20-point-a-night scorer. And then the next night you go, what happened to this guy?
They're going to regret that.
He's inconsistent. We've seen Lance Stevenson work his way to good contracts and then get run out of town. So you never know what's going to happen with that.
Knuckleheads on a team that you think are going to totally ruin it. It's not a precedent. Ron Artest won a title with Kobe Bryant. Dennis Rodman won 3 with Jordan and
right.
Pippen.
But guess who was the coach for both of those teams?
Right. People that control the
Well, but it's about more than a coach in that standpoint, though, because, listen, at the end of the day, Luke Walton is running the show with the Lakers, but call a spade a spade.
Not even talking
LeBron will grab Lance Stevenson by his throat and correct him if he needs to. Don't let that fool you.
Before
the first day of training camp, that's absolutely correct.
Where's Kevin Willis when you need him? Because Kevin Willis used to keep guys
Atlanta
in line.
Hawks, Michigan State.
He used to keep guys in line. And Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, I think that's a ridiculous signing. Not even that. It's a no trade. He's there. You're stuck with this guy.
But it's a 1 year deal.
It's another 1 year deal.
They're all 1 year deal.
And I get that. Now, Reggie,
played with him last year.
Well, because he's not good. He's not worth it. That's as you pointed out, that's why I'm here. And what I'm saying is, as you pointed out, Reggie, this has been a multi-year process for LeBron James. He's moved his business operations. Maverick Carter and his very successful business team, they moved to LA years ago. They were, I think I've read somewhere that LeBron's got an office at one of the movie studios. He's branching out into that. He's an investor in the Beats. He's got a lot of business
Spring Hill
interest
Entertainment.
There. And he's in entertainment. He's an entertainer, and he's got his foot in the door. A lot of everything in the door of the entertainment industry. I think it's a great signing for him personally. 3 years commitment at least with a 4th year opt out. So I think he's there for the long term. Whether he wants to improve this roster next year when there's other free agents available, Klay Thompson, Kawhi Leonard potentially, and others, we'll see. I just think it's a good business move for him going to L.A. John Tobias.
And that's the thing. It's a business move when all the other moves that he had made were always about chasing the championship, putting himself in the best position to win the championship. That's why he went to Miami to win the championship. That's why he went back to Cleveland, because he wanted to win a championship in Cleveland. This move is not championship, is not the number one thing. And for me, that's okay.
Well, here's the reality, man. At the end of the day, at some point, as a professional athlete, they got to start looking forward to what's next. They got to start thinking about their life after the game. Because I'm going to tell you right now, and for the record, I went and played basketball with some of my guys yesterday. I'm feeling it.
How'd you play?
Father Time is undefeated, bro.
So's gravity.
Father Time is undefeated.
Right.
And LeBron knows that, and so he's starting to prepare for the rest of his life.
All right, we going to a break? Is that what you're telling me that he told me to do?
Yes.
All right. When in doubt, if LeBron needs any help in the locker room, guys get out of line, Ron Artest and Steven Jackson are just a phone call away. They will do whatever it takes to restore order. We're just getting started. First segment in the books. We're here at the Dilworth Neighborhood Grill. This is Talking About Sports.
Free agency.
What's his name for the Yanks? All right, we're back at the Dilworth Neighborhood Grill. This is Talking About Sports with Reggie Walker, Mountaineer Mike Freer, John Tobias. I'm noting that watching the replay of the Yankees and the Braves, there were two fat left-handed guys, CeCe Sabathia and some guy, I forget his name for Atlanta. They looked about the same. But anyway, we were talking about the NBA and LeBron James' impact to Los Angeles. How is, John Tobias, Boogie Cousins, DeMarcus Cousins going to Golden State Warriors? Is it a response to losing JaVale McGee, or do they think hopefully after an Achilles injury they can get him bargain basement prices? He can help them three-peat.
Well, to be honest, when I first heard the news, I was pissed off.
Why?
I was, because it was more or less like, wait a minute, like, are you really serious that they were able to go ahead and get Boogie Cousins, the rich get richer? I was pissed off about it, but then I thought more about it, and I said, you know what, hey, like, it's a business, and the thing about it is that if other teams had an opportunity to sign DeMarcus Cousins, then they could have done it. But apparently, that was not the case, and Bob Myers was able to swoop in and get him, and then so be it.
Well, let me ask you this: were you pissed off when LeBron went to Miami?
No.
Why?
Because that's easy. Because two things. Number one, LeBron went from a team who did not have anyone to a team who had only won one championship, and that was years ago. It was the same issue that I had with Kevin Durant going to Golden State. I felt that was more of an issue than LeBron going, because he went to a team that he was up 3-1 on, lost to, and then went to a team that won 73 games. To me, it's the same thing in terms of DeMarcus Cousins, but on a much, much, much lesser level. I just don't like the signing because it's way too top heavy for Golden State. That's my issue.
I'll go on the record and say I didn't like it when LeBron went to Miami. I didn't, and it wasn't about him. I didn't think it was going to be good for the league to have most of your best players on 4 or 5 teams, because you're going to have a lot of empty gyms otherwise when those teams are not there. But the more I look at it, and over the years, I got over it, because as far as I'm concerned, these guys are going to do what they're going to do, and they're going to go hang out with their buddies and play game. Whatever it is their reason, is going to be their reason. My whole thing with this particular situation with DeMarcus Cousins is this. We often categorize guys by what? If he would have won a championship, he didn't win a championship, he doesn't have all of that. So DeMarcus Cousins looks at it and goes, there's a team out there that's won 2 championships and, back-to-back championships, I should say. And I'm going to go out here and try to get a ring. I'm on a 1-year deal because coming off this injury, nobody's going to pay me like I feel like I deserve. So if I'm going to go sit on a 1-year deal, why not go get a chip and be a part of an organization to where everybody says they're so cohesive and I'm such a headache and a cancer? If I can go to that organization, play well, and help them win a championship, everybody's got to leave me alone. And I get a chance to prove that I can go be a viable player, and I'm ready to get my big money again.
While playing just half a season, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Why not?
And I loved it. I didn't have a problem with it. It didn't bother
care.
me. The timing of it is what made it really gold for me. No pun intended for the Warriors. But the fact that we were all talking about LeBron and what this is going to mean, and can they challenge Houston? Can they challenge Golden State? And then nobody saw it coming, him to the Warriors, because they all thought, they thought maybe Cousins would come to the Lakers now. And then the Warriors just say, nice and quiet, and go, all right, we'll bring you in.
Well,
I'll deal with that.
And the best part is, like, everybody's like, oh, the Lakers got LeBron. Magic is doing his thing. And Bob Myers just slides a little tweet out there that says, hold my beer. Oh, wait.
I thought it was awesome. I thought it was great.
Bob Myers is out here playing chess, and everybody else in the league playing checkers.
And by the way, Cousins spent all those years in Sacramento. He deserves to see what the rest of California is like.
Enjoy paying those taxes up there. But does Cousins need to rehab his image as a locker room cancer, as a coach killer, or is he going to rehab his game to where, hey, a 1-year deal, maybe they win Golden helps them win a third championship, and he can cash in a year later.
I wouldn't call neither a rehab because I think he rehabbed, especially his image, in his time in New Orleans.
I agree.
But I think what it is the completion of the circle, potentially for him to show that he is still that viable player and he has turned the corner in the right situation with his attitude.
And by the way, if he is healthy, if he comes back and is healthy, I was fortunate enough to be here in Charlotte when the Pelicans came to town. The game before he got hurt and was out for the year, the next game he tore his Achilles.
Yeah.
And I watched. If he's healthy, he's an unbelievable talent in the middle. The ability
When motivated.
to score, rebound, and step out and hit a three. If he's healthy, he's perfect.
Now, if he's going to come back, a lot of times, like Rudy Gay had the same injury for, I believe, the Kings, if I'm not mistaken. He signed with San Antonio, and he was out a lot early coming back from this injury.
Right.
And it wasn't until after, Christmas, into February that he really started to get into a groove, Rudy Gay,
Right.
and he came on strong down the stretch when they needed him, when it mattered.
Right. I think that what people have said in the past to where that it really hurts big men more so than anyone else because a lot of times they
Back
point
and feet
to
are the worst things on a big man.
yeah, they talk about Elton Brand when he tore his Achilles,
Bill
and
Walton.
also Bill Walton, Patrick Ewing as well, to where those
I didn't know
guys
that
were never
got
the same. Yeah, but that was towards the latter part of the
Right.
career, to be honest with
He's
you.
doing a good job at Georgetown, by the way. Now, what do you think about Oklahoma City, the Thunder? Despite having Billy Donovan coaching them for reasons still unexplained to me, they signed your boy Raymond Felton.
My boy.
They put him over. That put them over some huge tax deal. They're $300 million. Okay, for Russell Westbrook. They re-signed Paul George. It was a big thing on TV. I saw about how that went down.
Right.
And they're paying the theft and robbery that is Carmelo Anthony $28 million. So they have a big payroll.
Yes.
They have a lot to show for it, though. Or are they going to be, hey, welcome to the playoffs. You're a 6 or 7 seed. You get one home game and you're gone. See ya.
Well, that's the easy answer, maybe, because the thing about it is that it's essentially the same roster guys that lost to Utah in 6 games, correct? More or less. So the thing about it is that with this roster now, that with an inflated payroll, they're going to have to advance much farther than the first round. There's no question.
I think this team is going to be. I mean, obviously the money aside, it's ridiculous. I think this team is going to be improved from last year. I think they know what they're going to get out of Melo. His price tag notwithstanding, he's going to be the third guy at best on that team. It's going to run through George. It's going to run through Westbrook.
But it's the same team.
But it can be.
Are they just jockeying for the future? They're going to save that salary cap space of the expiring
Improved
contract
by
with
how
Carmelo
much, though?
for future assets.
By winning a first-round game,
Well,
a series?
winning a round.
Here's the reality.
That doesn't justify $300 million.
Well,
didn't
yeah,
say
but
that.
but JT, you got to remember part of that is the repeat luxury tax issue. But let's first step back for a second and look at how the NBA is structured as a whole. Okay, think about this. So the new league year started July 1st. Guys can actually sign their contracts tonight at midnight. Okay. The NBA salary cap is how much for 2018-2019?
It's a lot.
It's $101.9 million. Does anybody? Do you realize that there is an NBA minimum?
Yeah.
Teams have to spend $91.7 million. So basically, what I take from that is they forcing everybody toward the luxury tax anyway. Add to the fact, because most people say, well, small market teams can't. Let me break this down for y'all real quick. And I'm going to use the Hornets as the example because that's a local basketball team. Batum, $24 million. Mozgov, $16 million. Marvin Williams, $14 million. Cody Zeller, $13 million. MKG, $13 million. Kemba Walker, $12 million.
Only one guy earning it.
They're already over the league, the minimum that they have to spend from salary in 7 guys. So at the end of the day,
MKG?
nobody is under the cap, and everybody is almost at or into luxury tax level.
So
that's why I'm not mad at when everybody made the comment about Dan Gilbert saying apparently, allegedly behind closed doors, he doesn't care if LeBron leaves? No, because he's like, I've been paying the luxury tax for years. As William Wilson sits over there, a businessman himself, if I ask him right now, and I'm going to use his facial expression and y'all going to see it, hey, Will, cut me a check for $10,000.
Give me one
exactly.
too, by the
He's
way.
like,
I need
for
one
what?
too. If you're giving it out, I want some.
Well, and Dan Gilbert's
some
thing
nice
is,
suits.
so you want me to pay 150 to 170 million in salary, and then write another check for another 100 million just because I'm already paying 170 million? Why
nice.
would you continue to do that?
He is a nice guy, but he's a better businessman. That's why he's not going to do it.
That's why he owns the team.
That's right. And we have to, for anything Thunder or NBA, my friend of the show, Chandra Tyler, big Oklahoma City fan, and I think very noted basketball insider and guru, blogs a lot on Facebook and Instagram, and I follow her because she's really dead on in her and with her commentary and analysis of the league. And I just don't get this. I think her theory is the Thunder are a year away. They're using that expiring Carmelo contract is going to be a hold basically for next year that they maybe can get someone to run with Paul George and Westbrook to maybe get one big guy or a couple other complementary pieces, guys who are getting ready to break out on the end of their original contracts. Maybe be aggressive in their pursuit of free agents.
But how aggressive can they be? They're probably only going to have a veterans exception and a mid-level probably. Well, you still got Russ making 30-something million, and Paul George is making $30 million.
Well, the contract of Carmelo comes off the books a year from now.
Yeah, but what's the rest of their cap numbers?
And the cap is
not good, probably.
The cap will go up to what? 103 million?
Sounds like a new negotiation for a collective bargaining agreement is on the horizon, John Tobias.
Yeah,
that's what it sounds like to me.
By the way, to JT's point that we were talking about, the Thunder. I'll give you this. Even though I thought, they have a chance to advance past the first round, whatever. All this stuff, they're no closer to winning a championship, which is where the money that becomes a bad deal. They're no closer to challenging the Rockets. They're no closer to challenging the Warriors. They're no closer to challenging the Lakers.
And that's all I'm saying. I mean, because I admire them for being able to re-sign Paul George. I mean, they took a gamble because, he was considered rented. And he ended up, re-upping for a very nice price. And the thing about it is, I do think they're a solid team, but to pay that much money in terms of their salary cap to possibly get out of the first round,
they're not getting bang for the
maybe
buck.
the second. Right. I just don't think that the end justifies the means.
We still got some more NBA news. We have people hitting us up on Twitter and from South Korea. We've got we're drawn. We still no one's really explained that Trae Young suit to me. But
he can't either.
Well, I don't know. William Wilson's here, so maybe we can get some kind of deal. Big boxing news, and not just in the ring boxing news, some business news of Boxing Plus MMA. Connor's talking about a comeback. We got that and much, much more. We're here at the Dilworth Neighborhood Grill. This is Talking About Sports. Welcome back to Talking About Sports. Kevin Casey along with John Tobias, Mountaineer Mike Freer, Reggie Walker, William Wilson offset, monitoring, keeping us in line and check, like Ty Domi in hockey, for anybody who knows what I mean. Chuck Holiday says on Facebook, if the Thunder unload Melo, their tax bill goes down from $150 million to roughly $60 million. So is it likely they may buy him out or trade him at the deadline? Is that foreseeable? From a business standpoint, to me, it seems like it's an easy decision.
I'm sure they'd like to get rid of him, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds good, and that is true. That's what a salary does with the tax number, is it basically balloons what the salary essentially is. But let's remember this. Paul George is getting ready to sign a deal with them. Again, he has not signed. He can sign as early as midnight tonight for what, about 30-something million a year, right?
Yeah, 137.
So 137 over 4, so that's roughly 36 million, 35 million. Okay, so let's do this math. Westbrook makes, in 2018, 2019, he'll make 35.6. Carmelo will make 28 million. Paul George will make 37 million. Here's the contract we keep forgetting. Steven Adams makes 24.1 million dollars.
He's earning it though.
As a center that is only asked to finish around the basket here and there. Mind you, this is not a guy they throw it to in the post 15 times a game and ask him to go get a bucket.
That's poor coaching.
This is not a guy that averages 15 to 18 points a game. So while people are screaming, quit paying Melo $28 million, Why are you paying Steven Adams $24 million?
Because he's worth it and he's earned
For
it more.
what?
Because the dude
For
can play.
what?
Because they got bad coaching, they're not going to utilize Steven Adams.
averages
Steven Adams is a
14 and
ball
9.
player.
14
Come on,
and 9
Anthony,
for $24
Carmelo
million?
Anthony
I think
is
he's a good
thief
player.
What
right
does
now.
Carmelo give you for 28?
Gives you nothing.
I rest my case.
No.
I rest my case.
Rest your case on what?
If Carmelo's giving me 20 and I'm paying
He's not,
another
he's
guy,
not averaging 20
what's he
anymore.
averaging? 18?
Yeah, that's not 20.
Steven Adams
Okay,
plays
but-
defense,
but
He's
and
not,
rebounds,
he's not
and
averaging.
set screens.
If I'm gonna
Yeah,
pay
he's not
20
averaging 20. He doesn't
If
play
I'm going to pay
defense.
24 for 14 points,
Yeah.
why would I be so out of pocket to pay 28 for 18 points?
So, Reg, if that's the case, then why is it that people are making such a big deal out of Carmelo making this much money, but they aren't saying anything about Steven
That's
Adams?
my point. They should be.
No,
They should be.
That goes to that
Clint
goes to
Capella.
Portland.
They're talking about Clint Capella making $20+ million a year,
I think he's legit.
and you wonder why these teams can't catch up with Golden State.
He's the third best player on the team. I like Clint Capella.
So you saying he worth $20-something million a year?
I'm not saying that
You
he's
get
worth
$20
that
million for
much,
one
but I
That's-
don't have a problem in terms of
So what
Steven
happens when
Adams making that
Draymond
much
Green and
money.
Klay Thompson's
I really
contracts
don't.
come up? What happens
Yeah.
then? What's
Well,
their tax bill going to look like?
Well, Draymond's going to be eligible to sign one for 140, 150.
Yep.
Clay's going to be
Earning
looking at $200 million.
Not gonna
So
do it
their
in Golden
tax
State.
bill's going to be $500.
Not going to do it in Golden State.
They don't even have a new building yet. I think they're building one though.
Yeah,
Well,
they're building one in San Francisco.
That's
They
good.
move into 2019, 2020.
Now we do hear that Will D in Seoul, South Korea, says that the East has fallen off so bad that he is basically saying the Eastern Conference is G League. The whole conference, which includes the Charlotte Hornets, is the G League now. I would exclude Boston.
Or Philly.
By the way, I heard
Philly.
In Philly. Well, other than that,
Toronto.
they are G League.
Toronto.
I mean, Toronto, I don't.
Eh.
What have they done in the playoffs lately?
Nothing. Nothing.
They've lost to LeBron like everybody
I know,
else.
so they're gonna- suddenly their view got a little better.
You like
Yeah.
anybody like Dwight Howard going to the Wizards? Is that
Listen,
what
let me. I'm glad you brought that up.
that's what I'm supposed to do?
So, let me get this straight. Brad Beal and John Wall apparently can't completely get along. Kelly Oubre and Otto Porter aren't on the greatest of terms because they play the same position and they both got bloated contracts. And then you add the coach killing Dwight Mayer to the locker room,
White Mare.
and you got one of the Morris twins in there who you know he's the police officer of the locker room. I'm gonna tell you right, I'm waiting on him and Dwight Howard to get into a scrap because it's gonna happen.
You get. I got my money on Morris if the Dukes are coming out. But as long as
that the
Agent
boxing news that you had?
as long as Agent Zero's not around drawing pistols in the
Easy.
locker room, I think everything's okay with the Wizards. Your boy, Gilbert
Listen,
Arenas. Remember he
And
brought out
Javaris Critterton?
By the way,
remember he brought out the guns in the locker
Yeah,
room and
and-
said draw.
Yeah,
The,
Javaris is doing time.
Okay, Corral.
Yeah.
the point of it all was that the West is suddenly just completely has all the best players, and if you look at it on paper, it's right. It's the last 7 MVPs who are still active, all from currently playing the West.
Yeah,
15 players that made up the All NBA team this year. 11 of them came from are in the West now.
the West is definitely better.
Is anybody-
but I will say this. Let me say this real quick. The West is definitely better. They've been better for the past several years. That being said, though, I do think that the Boston Celtics, I do think that they are capable of beating everyone in the West. Because the thing about it is that either way you look at it, whoever you put in the East, they're going to play against one team in the West. Now, in terms of all the other teams that you mentioned, maybe not so much. Maybe Philadelphia. But I do think that Boston, I do think that they stand a solid puncher's chance.
Now would Philly stand with a Kawhi Leonard deal?
Now, what about now?
But we don't
You
know.
brought up that. Now, is Kawhi
don't
Leonard?
know.
Let's say hypothetically, Philadelphia wants to get over. I think they're behind the Sixers. Let's say they give up Fultz, Covington, Sarek, and some draft picks, and they get Kawhi Leonard to go with Simmons and Embiid. I think they're on at least equal footing with the Celtics.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they'll be on equal
Absolutely.
footing from a talent standpoint. But again,
but not depth.
Kawhi Leonard is better with the basketball in his hand. He can shoot. He can catch and shoot. But again, I just think the way they're constructing that team, if Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid are going to be the face of that organization moving forward, clearly they are and should be.
Kawhi Leonard's uncle does live in Philadelphia. His mom's brother is from Philadelphia, so there is some local ties.
How'd you
now,
know
is it
that?
just me because I've been off this week and I stay up late, have nothing else to do, nothing going on? Anybody watch the summer league? looks like Trey Young has been hot and cold. I like some of the things that Grayson Allen had a good game. We're seeing an old Duke game in one of the back TVs. Who is 2 Chainz, by the way, JT?
Come on, you don't know 2 Chainz?
I don't get out much. I don't roll with like you and William Wilson.
Hair weave killer.
Speaking of the summer league,
I just don't know.
Last week for the draft, Memphis was one of the unsung teams in the draft.
Yes, sir.
They went out and got a couple of really solid defensive players.
Yeah.
Jaren Jackson Jr.
Love Jaren Jackson. Dad was a Spur.
He's
99, won a title with us.
And Javon Carter has been impressive. I've watched their games, and I think so far it's living up to what they wanted.
Yeah, and I think what they did, and this is what I talk about all the time with the draft, is don't go get some talented player. Go get the player who possesses the talents you need and already has that ability. Jackson is known for his defense. He can step out and stroke it a little bit too, shoot the jump shot, those types of things. But this is an organization that is still, whether he's there or not, this is still Tony Allen's organization of grit and grind. And they went and got 2 players that personify that in the draft.
I agree.
And they're going to get back to that. Now, if Chandler Parsons can find a way to just play 50 games and be 75% of the player he was that earned him that contract before the injury, they got a chance to really be pretty good in the West. But again, how good is pretty good in the West? A 5 seed?
1 round and a nice parting gift and a Laurel and Hardy handshake.
There you go.
You get that.
I do.
All right.
I will pay attention to Summer League, though. For
do.
whatever reason, I pay more attention to that than I do NFL preseason.
Now, Freer, I got to ask you this, though. And JT, help me on this, too.
Okay.
Why they got 10 fouls in Summer League?
Each player.
10 fouls per player.
To give everybody a chance.
The
to
rookies.
stay on the court.
For what? If you can't learn how, you got to learn how to play without fouling. Giving them 10 ain't the
Absolutely.
answer.
But I'm just saying, they want to see these guys play, and that's how you do it.
Man, I looked up the other day. I'm watching the game briefly, and they were like, "Oh yeah, that's his 6th." I'm like, "It's the second quarter."
Maybe they're just calling the rules tighter. Maybe they don't know about the hand check
10,
yet.
10 might be excessive. But
10 is excessive.
But
now I do remember back in the day. I know y'all remember back in the old Big East days.
Yeah,
remember when the Big East went to 6 fouls back in the day in conference
Yeah.
play when
Oh,
Alonzo
yeah.
Mourning was
It's a rough
knocking
league,
dudes
though.
out?
Yeah.
That was a rough league, though.
Walter
Lasted all
Berry.
the year.
Jerome Lane.
Yeah, it lasted 1 year.
Oh, yeah. Demetrius Gore from Pitt.
Yeah,
Send
man.
it in, Jerome.
Oh, yeah.
Broke the backboard. Didn't he break a backboard?
Oh, he did.
Oh yeah, he shattered it. That's
I know,
the
man.
infamous
Sean
Bill
Miller?
Raftery call.
I remember
That's
where I
right,
was.
man. That was a good
I was in
league.
my dorm room.
That's Mountaineer Mike's league. That's he's up from the Northeast, so he was all over that. Are we going to stay with this, KT? We're going to come back with another segment, or what are we going to do here? We got boxing, MMA, and racing to talk about. We're going to go to another break, or we're going to finish the discussion. All right. So, I guess anybody care about LeVar Ball? By the way, I heard Tony
never
Parker
did
is being
before.
Did I ever?
Tony Parker is being looked at by the Hornets. I hear because James Borrego, the new coach of Charlotte, Tony Parker has drawn some interest. We hear from the Charlotte Hornets. I guess
Is Tony Parker a free agent?
Yes, he
No.
is.
Yes,
Yes,
Tony
I didn't
Parker's
even
a
know
free
that.
agent. Tony, the best thing for Tony, in my opinion, right now, Tony, Father Time is undefeated. Just go ahead and retire. Leave it alone.
Jeez.
I can't even look at Tony Parker in another uniform. That's
if
asinine.
Parker ends up with the Hornets, how are the Hornets ever going to get Kawhi then?
Well, yeah. And then there's that. And we know
That's a good
we
one.
know what Tony Parker has
That's a
done in
good
locker
one.
rooms. I'm gonna leave that right there.
Oh, you talking about his association with the Berries, or
What?
just one? What was it? Brent Berry or?
I ain't got nothing to do with that.
All right, I didn't have anything to do with it either. By the way, he did lead the league in steals. We understood that year. All right, so that's the end of this segment. We're going to come back. We have some boxing news, MMA, auto racing. Kyle Busch, exciting finish, I think, from Chicagoland this weekend. So we've got that and much, much more. This is Talking About Sports from the Dilworth Neighborhood Grill.
Yowzers,
Fun
Kevin
times here,
Casey.
Fun times.
Got to go a full timeout. All I got to say is it football season yet? This stuff is too good to pass up. There's so many things that have to go right in a no-hitter.
A huge game changer.
I would have won the Powerball like 6 times. Kevin Casey here, and this is your podcast, Talking About Sports, the Carolina's own sports talk show.
We're talking about sports on
We're talking about sports at ADS. I don't know how to say that.
We're talking about
We're talking about sports in, oh God, I forgot.
ADS.
What is it?
ADSN.
ADSN. Okay.
Dimension.
We're talking about sports.
Talking about sports.
We're talking about sports.
Talking sports. Talking about sports. We're talking about sports on ADSN.
Talking about sports on ADSN.
All right, we're back at the Dilworth Neighborhood Grill. This is Talking About Sports with Reggie Walker, Mountaineer Mike Freer, John Tobias, and Reggie Walker. Golden Boy Promotions inks deal to broadcast boxing on Facebook. As I sent you the article, I talked to Kevin Tolbert about it.
Yeah.
A lot of things that they're doing, by the way, we here at ADSN, thanks to Kevin Tolbert, are doing and broadcasting events and sports and things of that nature. I think this has potential to be a very big deal, and it's going to be big not just for Golden Boy Promotions, Oscar De La Hoya. They also have signed Tito Ortiz to fight Chuck Liddell for their third time in MMA. He's doing
Shout
MMA.
out to my man Tito.
MMA and boxing, and the event that they're starting in August 11th. We understand the first fight is, as I scroll down here, is going to be who is it? The lightweight title, Reggie.
Yeah. Well, here, let's. I'm not even going to get all the way to there. I'm gonna back up for a second.
It's August 11th. About Jesus Rojas, WBA World Featherweight title against Joseph Jojo Diaz Jr. So there's their first big deal on August 11th.
And that should be a really good fight. Two guys that'll go get after it in the ring. This is a situation where streaming has a great place for I don't want to say niche, but for sports that can't consistently get the mainstream unpaid TV eyeballs. Because one thing about it, the boxing community, they'll go where they got to go to find boxing. They'll go where they got to go to find a fight. ESPN Plus is doing some fights. They recently had Terrence Crawford's fight on
fighter.
ESPN Plus. The deal overseas with DAZN, which is doing in conjunction with Matchroom Boxing, they're doing Anthony Joshua stuff. That's just where it's going now, and it makes sense. And at the end of the day, man, the people that love this the most, which is also what scares me, this is going to really enhance the purses and the money coming to boxers in terms of guarantees, the fighters themselves. The problem is it puts more people and more entities involved in the negotiations of who's going to fight who, which leads to, often cases, you don't see the fights you should see, i.e. Wilder Joshua. There's no reason why that fight should not have been signed. It's absolutely asinine.
Money, and maybe Joshua's gutless. It could be. I'm not going to tell him that, by the way. But I like Wilder. I like Wilder. Wilder's my guy. I think if they get in there, man up. Whether it be in Wembley, Cardiff, Wales,
right,
or Jerry World, Wilder's going to be the undisputed champ.
Guys, question about that. Why wasn't it locked up? Because I thought at first they had said that there were preliminary talks and that the deal was about to be signed. Yep. And then now they said that it's
somebody's
dormant.
fax machine didn't work.
Reg, I know you have your ear to the streets more so than I, but why?
The contract, the last contract that was sent to Wilder and his people, it didn't have a date or a venue. It had everything else. It had money, numbers, and all those things. It didn't have a date or a venue.
Okay.
Why would you sign a contract with no date and no venue? Because you got to remember, fighters go to training camp.
Why
didn't
it though?
That's the point that Eddie Hearn and his people at Matchroom and Anthony Joshua's people have yet to answer.
Okay.
All right, now,
so that's why that deal fell apart.
Okay.
So who is Joshua fighting next? He's fighting another guy who was a mandatory challenger.
I believe it was the IBF or the WB. No, I believe it was the WBA.
Yes, it is the WBA.
The WBA made Alexander Povetkin a mandatory challenger for that piece of the world title, and they basically said, for Joshua, either you need to get this deal done or we're going to strip you of the title. And again, you can't have a unification fight between Wilder and Joshua for all four belts if all four belts are not involved now because one has been stripped.
That contract for Wilder was offered. He wanted $50 million. They rebuffed that. They said, we'll give you 15 for this and 5 for another fight. If it's basically a 2-fight contract, you fight some other guy, a tune-up guy, for $5 million, then you fight Joshua in the fall or late fall or maybe
they were trying to put him on an undercard. They were trying to put him on the undercard.
The man's not an undercard fighter. He's a main event fighter.
Correct. And they wanted him to fight essentially right before, which this has been done in the past. They wanted to put him on a card with Joshua, and if both won, then they would fight each other on the back end of that.
Then they
and that
come
would
out
be
at the end of the
fight.
bout and have a stare down, and then they cut to the commercial. Then it'll be it.
Or it'll be like, I don't know if you saw Clarissa Shields and the young lady Hammer from over in Germany. Hammer won the second to last fight, and then Shields came in the ring and won her fight. Then Hammer jumped in the ring and got in Shields' face. That's what could have happened.
See,
and that's kind of the concept.
Like wrestling.
It's been in the mix, Reggie.
It's like wrestling. Now, what is the next big fight? Is it who's the next big card? Is it September? Reggie?
September 15th, Triple G Canelo 2. I'll be locked in watching that one somewhere. Not sure where yet, but I got to watch that fight.
Who's cooking the beef? That's all I want to know. Where's the beef?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. 'Cause it ain't gonna be me.
So.
UFC, they need some big
UFC,
fights.
thank you, John Tobias, for helping me with the segue, since that's what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
Conor McGregor, rumors are he's broke, but I don't see how with $100 million from fighting or doing something with Floyd Mayweather. Nurmagomedov, the Russian guy who's really a dangerous guy. Khabib Nurmagomedov, that really Conor would get destroyed if he fought him. But there's rumors that there could be a bout in Russia that could draw a whole lot of money for the organization and for each fighter. He's talking comeback. And this weekend, the big heavyweight title fight, Daniel Cormier, the light heavyweight champion, moving up to face Stipe Miocic for the UFC heavyweight title. That's going to be a very good bout. Both of these guys are champions. And Daniel Cormier has won over 10 fights in the heavyweight division.
Yeah.
So he's no stranger. He can barely he makes the light heavyweight weight for about 10 seconds right before on weigh-in. The day of the weigh-in, he makes it for about, has to hold a towel. He barely makes weight anyway as a light heavyweight.
He just can't see Bones Jones. That's the problem.
Well, Bones Jones has got to get off all the illegal narcotics and drugs and whatever he's on, but he's the best fighter.
Yeah.
I think pound for pound in the world. But Blessed MMA, Max Holloway, the pride of Hawaii, is had some type of concussion-like symptoms in training camp, and so his team pulled him out.
Right.
So that bout has been scratched, and I guess they're just going to go with whatever they got. And I think a good fight, good main event. Daniel Cormier, Stipe Miocic. So, I was reading the information about the fights. So let's see if we can get that back on here.
At the end of the day, whether it's Dana White and the MMA folks, whether it's Golden Boy or Matchroom or Top Rank or whatever, the discussion had been there for a while that particularly boxing was dead and that MMA would be a fad. And clearly both are still alive and finding their way to remain well.
Who's in better shape?
But the question is, to your point, Freer, I would argue that boxing is probably in a little better shape just because it's been around longer, I think.
All right, now, Reggie Walker,
I could be wrong.
Our good friend Fitz, my broadcast partner, covered many of fights. As what happened to the phone? Why does it look like Fitz? Hey, man, your phone just did you pay the bill? Here it is. Hold on. Fitz says it's a letter of content to line up the contract to fight with Wilder and Joshua. So that's what Fitz is saying, and Fitz is an extremely knowledgeable man, spends lots of time in Vegas, knows the fight game better than most people I know, and I do know a lot of people. But
yes, you do.
Fitz, got to get Fitz on here week of the fight. Definitely get Fitz on here.
Yeah.
So I like that, and I like that Golden Boy Promotions is doing your guy Tito Ortiz and Chuck Liddell.
Yeah, and Iceman. The one thing I will say in terms of UFC,
shout out to Tito.
Yeah, doesn't it seem like, because for a while boxing was like on a downward spiral in terms of becoming borderline irrelevant, with the exception of Money Mayweather with the big fights, but the UFC, they have been in big decline for the past couple of years, and I think mainly, and I would love to get you all's input, I think mainly it's because of the lack of star power, because Conor McGregor has not fought since the fall of 2016. John Jones hasn't fought for obvious reasons.
Failed a drug test. Brock Lesnar,
Brock Lesnar, Ronda Rousey. I mean,
he's coming back.
These are guys. These are people, that drew in big numbers from a rating standpoint. But there's really no one out there to where you say, I really, really, really want to watch this person fight, and that would draw huge ratings aside from Conor McGregor right now.
Here's why. Well, my opinion on why. So the sport obviously hasn't been around that long, right? A lot of MMA fighters are older. I mean, let's do the math. one of the original names we heard was Tito Ortiz, right?
Yeah.
Tito's in his mid-40s.
Big name.
And so it goes back to, and it's the same thing we've talked about in relationship to even the Carolina Panthers here. A whole generation hasn't totally grown up with the sport and seen new stars come on the horizon.
Right.
That's part of the problem. And the one mistake I would argue that MMA has made, not that they haven't made others, but I think one of the biggest ones that they made, and boxing, it's been boxing's problem for a long time. Too much pay-per-view. Everybody's not going to pay for every
when the popularity
Joe Blow
goes down, yes.
to
Reggie,
watch
I think they
every
went-
single fight.
They went to the pay-per-view route in the 90s. I was working in Vegas as a boxing reporter, and it seemed like every big event was on pay-per-view, and then next thing you know, there was no more CBS Sports Spectacular. There wasn't any Al Bernstein, Ferdy Pacheco on TV where you could see him. Out of sight, out of mind.
And it hurt the sport. And that's why I think what Al Heyman and those guys did with PBC, and they touched everybody. It's Fox, Spike, NBC, ESPN. They put PBC everywhere, and they put boxing back on cable, but free television for people to understand and start to know who these guys are, and then let them build to a pay-per-view, and then people will buy that. Because I watched Roy Jones all the way through, and I remember watching Roy Jones on regular TV for a period of time, and then he became a pay-per-view guy. You got to build that. I can't just
earn the
pop off
pay-per-views.
tomorrow and be like, you're going to pay every time I do something. That's crazy.
Boxing and pay-per-view, I mean, before pay-per-view, it was closed circuit. You had
Right.
to go to a theater.
I remember
You had
watching
to go
closed circuit.
I watched many a fight.
You may want to watch this
on
coming
closed
up right
circuit.
now.
I saw in addition. Oh yeah,
I ain't
Hello.
fighting no more. I'm about to
Right.
watch this food come in.
Right on, right on.
Kawhi Leonard won his title on ABC.
Great food as always here at the
And how
Dilworth
many-
Neighborhood Grill. Looks like some kind of pizza deal. We got the Reggie Walker, William Wilson wings.
Oh,
here.
man.
Some
Okay.
we'll see.
Well, we're gonna let her finish delivering the food,
And
but
we got some like steak nachos or something like that.
Well, tell us exactly what we have, young lady. Break
all
it
right,
down
come
to
on,
us,
come on.
please.
You gotta come around this side.
Reggie, Reggie, do the interview over there. Oh, I'll do it over here.
She went past me.
Hold
I
on,
guess I'm
what
not
is
that important.
Money.
Money, like money, Moni. How you spell that?
MONIE.
All right, make sure you spell that right, Kevin Tolbert. What do we have here for us to eat here?
All right, so we have the the Hog Haven pizza, the steak nachos, and the drive-up seasoned rib wings.
I call him the William Wilson hits. That's that good-looking guy in the nice suit over there. And then the Reggie. Yeah, you know him. Well, you need to meet him. And Reggie Walker down the corner here. I call him the Reggie Walker, William Wilson wings. The pizza's over. We love the steak nachos. So you're doing a great job. We always have good food here at the Dilworth Neighborhood Grill, right?
All right, great. We can help you. And
Great. Thank you, Moni. Did I say it right? All right, Moni. Thanks to Moni and
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
and all of our. You can't even wait, JT.
I know, man.
No
Looks
reason
too
to
good,
wait.
man. There you go, Mike.
That's good. All right, so Chuck Liddell.
Well, maybe
Coming
there's
back?
a little bit of reason to wait.
All right, we're going to break and then come back with final thoughts. All right, here food. What we need? We need to take a TV time out here. Not a 20-second TV time
There
out
you
here.
go.
This is talking about sports here at the
Need a
Dilworth
20.
Neighborhood Grill. All right, welcome back to Talking About Sports. We have our great food here at the Dilworth Neighborhood Grill. Steak nachos, some Mediterranean wings, and some kind of pizza here. It's great. Kevin Tolbert, William Wilson, Reggie Walker, Mountaineer Mike Freer, John Tobias. Guys, as we get out here this week, thankful to be American citizens.
Yes.
4th of July yesterday. Some quick final thoughts. Reggie Walker, what do you got?
For me, I'm gonna take it back to basketball for a second.
You don't have to say you're wrong again.
While
we already
most
covered
people,
that.
with the exception of Paul George and LeBron James, if you really look at what has gone on in free agency, the DeAndre Jordans of the world, those guys, and Chris Paul, I'm sorry, is the other one. Most of these guys are signing 1 and or 1+1 deals. LeBron James, to his credit, and some other guys a few years ago, found the loophole in the way the salary cap is set up with player contracts to maintain as much leverage and control as possible. By taking a 1-year deal and then essentially subsequently potentially taking another one down the line, what it does is kind of speed up the process of your bird rights for later, but at the same time, it allows guys to continue to survey the landscape every offseason to figure out if they want to stay where they are or leave. The other thing it does, and this is the thing I think most people are missing, a couple of years ago when LeBron opted out, it wasn't to leave. It was because Cleveland had his bird rights, so they could re-sign him to exceed the cap anyway. So what a lot of guys are doing, they're opting out to create a cap space opening to potentially slide another guy onto the roster, and then they re-sign to exceed the cap anyway.
Right.
So while everybody, while we continue to think that, the CBA is what it is, the players have figured out how to maximize their leverage in this new CBA. And I think it's going to be very interesting moving forward with all these owners paying luxury tax bills every year to see what happens at the next CBA, because I got a feeling it's going to change, and something tells me we might miss some games before it does.
Mountaineer Mike?
Yeah, my final thought is I want to stick with the Hornets here and discuss.
Not many people are these days.
Well, I am. If you're a follower of the Hornets, Summer League's coming up. You should probably pay attention and follow Malik Monk. I think this is a really big offseason for Malik Monk. He came into this league with high expectations. Everybody thought it was the steal of the draft when he fell to number 11 to the Hornets. And by the end of the season, because of his struggles, Hornets fans were wishing they had drafted Donovan Mitchell.
Or Luke Kennard.
But I just want to point out, he only shot 36% from the field, Malik Monk, this year, 34% from three. But Kemba Walker was a 30% shooter from three his rookie year. And he's developed into one of the best shooters in the league, certainly the greatest player in Hornets history. William Wilson, our man William Wilson, pointed out a few weeks ago, and I forgot to take this into account. It's a big transition to go from college to the pros. Not
especially
everybody
at
can run
19.
in and dominate. And there's a lot of stuff off the court. There's a lot of stuff on the court. And it takes people time. So I would give Malik Monk a pass for last year, but this is a big offseason. He's got to become a big-time shooter and use the athleticism that the Hornets wanted. And he could get some serious time. He could be in the starting lineup next year. And I'm watching to see his development this offseason.
Big year for Malik Monk. He's from the state of Arkansas. Will's guy, he played basketball at Kentucky. I think his brother is friends with Will, who he did play at Arkansas, right? His brother. All right, so maybe limit the squirrel hunting in the offseason and focus more on basketball. By the way, Chris Paul makes more money per year in basketball salary than LeBron James, John Tobias. 4 years, 160 versus LeBron, 4 years, 154. And,
it's food for thought, right?
And he's getting to keep more of his own money with no state tax in the great state of Texas. Now, John Tobias, what do you got?
That's two final thoughts for basketball. We might as well keep it three, right? But mine is going to be short and sweet. The thing about it is that, people always get excited when free agency begins, especially like the beginning. They almost get as excited about the beginning of free agency as they do the beginning of the regular season. If you guys think that 2018 would be exciting, think about the potential, the operative word is potential, free agents for 2019. And I'm just going to hit you with 6 Ks. Kawhi Leonard, Kyrie Irving,
Nick,
Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, our very own Kemba Walker, and Kevin Love. And let's throw in a J as in Jimmy Butler.
Nick.
So the thing about it is that, like I said, if you think that 2018 is potentially crazy, wait until 2019. It could get even crazier. So there you have it.
And Cleveland going to let Kevin Love walk. I guarantee you that.
He needs to
Dan
walk.
Gilbert about to shave that payroll back down.
He needs to go to the Lithuanian League and play with the other guys who hadn't been drafted.
He's an all-star.
Guys,
Is he not?
all-star and money thievery. But someone's offered to pay him.
No, that's Tristan Thompson.
Well, people have offered to pay him, and he's accepted their offer to pay him.
Do you think Kevin Love's stealing money?
I think he is.
He made the greatest defensive play in Cavaliers history. He's earned his money.
Tristan Thompson has it.
Not more than Jim Jones, as you know. All right.
Way back.
NASCAR, I know. I'll go way back. Go back to the ABA. Great finish at Chicagoland with Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson. This week, William Wilson points out there at Daytona, the old Firecracker 400, now the Coke Zero 400. Restrictor plates. It's all bets are off. I mean, you may see a first-time winner. You're on the lead lap. You got a shot. If you're fearless, you want to put your car somewhere, you could find yourself in victory lane. Ask Austin Dillon, just as long as you don't run somebody over in the third turn 3. But I just want to make mention here. There's been a vote in the NFL Hall of Fame Veterans Committee, and 10 people were voted on. And in the poll of the Veterans Committee, up for discussion for induction into the NFL Hall of Fame will be Wilmington, North Carolina's own, NC State's own Roman Gabriel. Former MVP of the league, has stats better than 12 current NFL Hall of Fame quarterbacks. So this is called TalkOfAmericaNetwork.com and Talk Fame Sports Network. It's all over Twitter, and Vinny Sheehan doing a great job promoting this. And I had the fortune of playing in the tournament. I saw Roman this weekend, good friend of William Wilson's and mine, in great health, telling great stories about how Mike Curtis and Ray Nitschke and Butkus used to line him up and deliver crushing blows. But they don't mention the times that Gabe ran him over. So remember that. So congrats to Gabe moving on in the Veterans Committee. We hope his induction in the NFL Hall of Fame finally comes. It's long overdue.
Big Kev, let me ask a quick question.
Kevin Tolbert's wrapping us up, but go ahead.
He'll be all right. Question for y'all. I was with some people yesterday, 4th of July celebrating. Does LeBron James eventually get a statue in Cleveland?
He should.
Of course.
I would think so.
Jeff Hood, our man Jeff Hood watching.
But I'm just asking, does he eventually get a statue in Cleveland?
Without question.
Well, a lot of people say no. I say he did. He delivered an NBA championship there.
Oh, yeah.
It may not be a big one, but it is.
William Wilson says profoundly no.
Okay, adamantly no.
I think he will because he brought that city a championship that hadn't had one since Jim Brown.
I agree.
So I just throw that out there. And also, shout out to Bobby Bonilla. Got another one of his $1 million checks.
He's still getting paid.
Till 2035, baby.
That's the greatest contract in sports as a player.
It's a great deal for the Mets then. It's a great deal
now,
for them now.
What about Jeff Hood? Is he coming on?
So if y'all...
Jeff, you got to come on and talk to us about what's going on. Plus, we got lots of stuff going on with Anthony Morrow and lots of stuff going on here at ADSN. For Kevin Tolbert, William Wilson, Reggie Walker, Mountaineer Mike Freer, JT John Tobias, I'm Kevin Casey. We're here at the Dilworth Neighborhood Grill. Come see us one Thursday afternoon. So
shout out
everybody.
to Chuck Holiday.
Good food.